Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Easy Conversations, a podcast about having easy conversations. I'm your host, Furkan Dandia. In this week's episode, I sit down with an old friend of mine, Gaurav Gupta, who is the founder and owner of the Leela Eco Spas here in Calgary. In this episode, Gaurav talks about the difficult decisions he's made throughout his professional career, from leaving a secure engineering job in the oil and gas industry to becoming an entrepreneur. And then, after becoming an entrepreneur, also making tough decisions with his business. And more recently, he had to shut down a new venture he had started because of the pandemic and pivot. In this episode, what you'll see is that we all face tough decisions in all facets of our lives. And more often than not, we have to listen to our gut and follow what feels right. And that's what Gaurav highlights in this episode. If at the end of the episode you can leave a review, I would truly appreciate it. Gaurav, so welcome to the podcast. Again, appreciate you doing this and yeah, taking the time to come on the podcast and chat with me.
Yeah, thank you, Furkan, for the opportunity, and I look forward to sharing. My journey, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, just for the listeners, if you don't mind, kind of introducing yourself. I guess for us, we met at McGill in engineering, so we
No,
were, yeah, we were actually in some of the courses together too. So that was cool. But yeah, I'll let you talk about your life there.
sure, sounds good, Furkan. Yeah, like you said, we went to engineering together, and I graduated from McGill in '06. Moved out west to Calgary to work as an engineer here. I was working with SNC Lavalin for a couple of years before moving up north to Fort McMurray. There, I was working with Suncor Energy. While being in Fort McMurray, it gave me a lot of quality time with myself. A lot of friends, lot of time with whom I want to spend with, and also it took me on a journey to sort of see who I really am, or what I really wanted. Engineering, for example, was my parents or my society's sort of wishes or their path for me. The first job was a natural transition from the studies to a job,
Hmm.
so on and so forth, right? But I never really looked into what I wanted to do, what was my passion. And in Fort McMurray, then I started sort of, look at more of an entrepreneurial route of, for example, opening a restaurant over there, or just anything entrepreneurial as over there. And then in the seek of who I wanted to be, I moved on. I did my MBA from INSEAD in France. That was good 10 month. Again, time to really hone on what I want to do and what I want to do, with the future career. And yeah, I got a couple of job offers as well while I was there in Singapore, in London, and it didn't really jive with my sort of long term thinking of
Hmm.
spending quality time with my wife. My At the time we have one daughter as well. Um, and so we moved back home to Calgary, because we have good support system here. My in-laws are here, and of course, I had a job back here with Sunco Energy. But the intent was to really find something of a small business, in the medium to long term, so that I can, finally be an entrepreneur, right?
Hmm.
Um, so coming back to Suncor, while it provided me with some great opportunities, and of course, you are moving somewhere else. I'm like, no, I'm quitting, and I don't want to. I want to do something else. So basically, I quit in 2014 March or April, having really nothing on my plate,
Hmm.
but just with a vision and desire to do something different. And um, while while searching for things which aligned with me, I came upon this business which was being sold by a broker, a small yoga studio and a massage place in Bridgeland, uh, up for grabs. So without really looking too much into it, no due diligence almost, I I took it over in July 2014. And at that time, while when I took it over, I felt it would be more of a learning curve for me to
Yeah.
learn about the business, and spend a little time in it, but not really full time in it. But the more and more I got involved in small business, it became really interesting to me how what do you one because being thinking like an entrepreneur was good, but being an entrepreneur, you really it's on the ground, right?
Yeah.
So you wanted to do, you could do it. That was a very big change from my oil and gas career. And
Yeah.
second was, of course, all the stuff which came with it, right? If a toilet plugs, guess what? You can spend $200 calling somebody else, or you can do it yourself,
Hmm.
or covering a shift. So a lot of learnings came on the go, and the more and more I got involved, more fun it became. And I guess growing from there was a natural transition. As we can expand our business model onto a different level, right? So that's
Yeah.
been sort of a journey, like since I guess McGill to now, and yeah, it's been okay so far. Of course, it has its own challenges every day, but yeah, I'm not regretting yet my move from oil and gas to here.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. And just for the listeners, like where were you born and raised, and yeah, how was that moving to Canada and stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was born and raised in India, in Delhi, in India.
Yeah.
At the age of 17, 18, my uncle, he called me to Canada because his sons had done really well in McGill as well, and he had a vision for me as well. So yeah, I came to Montreal at the age of 18 in 2002 to do my bachelor's in chemical engineering from McGill.
And how was that? Like that transition to move from India at that age, almost on your own, right? And come to like a new place.
Yeah, I talk to my daughter a lot about it nowadays. I'm glad I was put through that test, that challenge, that transition, because it made me a bit more stronger, more persistent, I think. I couldn't even understand people when they were talking, when I landed in Canada, English was my second language, right? And uh, it was quite challenging figuring out everything from, the comfort of your home to being living in a different country, different part of the world with different culture. Everything is so different, right? But
Yeah.
you know what? I mean, I think we became friends that year too, and a lot of other people as well were there who were friends, who were our support system, and yeah, the more challenging situation is, more different or more sort of, I think, stronger you become. So. I would say quite challenging initially, but when I look back at it, I look at it with a fond sort of memories because they were definitely you overcame them, and then you sort of became part of the system, and then
Yeah.
you just enjoyed being there.
Yeah, no, for sure. And one of the things you touched on, and I just want to talk about a little bit more, but you said your parents had a vision for you to be an engineer, and we hear that quite a bit in the East Indian culture, and myself included, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you graduated as an engineer, you found work. Did it, and you said it what didn't feel right. Can you maybe explain that a bit more? Like, what about it didn't feel right, and how were you able to work for the years you did work?
Well, I remember my first day at work, sitting at 2 p.m. in my cubicle. I'm like, oh, so I cannot go out right now, you know?
Yeah.
Is that almost like that thought was like, oh, I'm like not enslaved, but my mobility, my decision making, my flexibleness, my freedom is not there anymore,
Hmm.
if I job, right? Especially I was in a junior engineer, so I couldn't really, take whatever, right? So I just felt it unnatural for us to be stuck in an office environment for the time dictated by somebody else. So of course, with time, I grew very much used to it. I didn't even think much about it, that I'm not in the work. But the my like I worked in engineering career for two not engineering consulting company for a couple of years, and whatever I worked upon, that project didn't get executed. It either got shelved or something it was. At Sunco Energy as well, the tests which I was doing as an optimization engineer, a lot of tests were there to prove that can't be done. So a lot of things which I worked upon in my career as an engineer didn't really help in providing any value to
Hmm.
the the place where I live. And to me, getting my paycheck end of the day for the work which is not contributing to the economy, in my opinion, wasn't satisfying or fulfilling to me.
Yeah.
And while it wasn't hard work, it wasn't like I was a bad engineer or somebody who didn't do the work, but I just didn't enjoy that incomplete feeling in myself day in day out. And then after my INSEAD MBA, I came with very high hopes and ambitions of working in something where I can actually contribute. But my role again was something which didn't really allow me to contribute that much again. So I came to a point where I was like, you know what, I've given it enough of a shot, and I'm not at peace with myself
Hmm.
to work on these things which don't give me any sort of happiness, right? So it became a very natural transition, not even planned in any way, to exit my work environment. And not to say when I exit the work environment, even today, like I may not go back to it, because you never know, right? Because
Yeah.
it's me, and it's a safe way to earn. But I want to give myself a very real chance of doing something which satisfies me or helps me in being feeling fulfilled.
Oh yeah, no, I completely understand that for sure, and I've kind of been on the same
Yeah.
journey. But so had say in those projects you were working on, had the outcome been different, do you think you would have continued to do engineering, or it was just your passion was somewhere else and you would have left anyways?
Yeah, I um, what I've noticed about my life is the most impactful decisions of my life come from a place when I'm feeling down. Like for example, in SNC Lavalin, I was one evening I had no work, so I applied for masters of engineering that day, and just randomly, and I
Yeah.
did an MH course based for whatever on the side, right? In CIAD MBA, I wanted to do MBA for a long time, but when we found out my wife is pregnant, we're like, you know what, she got my mat leave anyway, so let's go for MBA somewhere. So then I really worked hard getting admission somewhere in Europe, just to so we can have a good 1 year together. So I I feel even Leela as well. So I feel like a lot of these decisions come from a point where you're compelled to make a decision, to make a change. So while like you said, if those projects hadn't happened, I may not have made that decision to quit. But I think you know, with time, that point would have come where
Hmm.
I have been, because I was, if I was happy in my job, satisfied, fulfilled, you're right. I may still be, in my career as an engineer. However, if I was not happy, I would think I would have found some place in my career where I had to quit, where it didn't wasn't possible for me to, go and work on it. Like to be honest, I never drank alone earlier, and after my stint at Suncor after my MBA, I just I just was so like unhappy,
Hmm.
so like those some of those things which I did at that time, I feel that they were really catalyst for me to make those decisions, to to quit a job and then and go for an entrepreneurial career, hopefully that is later.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. And I guess another question. So what pushed you towards an MBA and not something else in terms of, pursuing masters? Was it because of that entrepreneurial drive you had? You mentioned in Fort Mac you were even considering opening a restaurant. So yeah, so why the MBA? Was it because you felt like it would allow you to get that understanding of, about a business and being able to run your own business?
No, to be honest, I was looking forward to my MBA to really discover myself, to know people from different backgrounds, and just to explore. I had done bachelor's in chem eng, and I did master's in chem eng too from UFC, and a lot of theoretical knowledge, was already sort of I was already in classrooms and learned a lot of those things, right?
Yeah.
However, MBA to me was a place where I can actually go out, seek what I want to do, and then choose what I want to do from there. So, for example, I didn't apply to any technical oriented universities, with a 2 year program or somewhere which is known for like Master of Finance or those type of universities. I applied more to universities which are more known for entrepreneurship and provide a lot of content and environment to foster that ability. So that was my main reasoning. And not to say, we living in Fort McMurray for 3 years, I wanted to go somewhere really, different and I guess nice. And France or Europe really sort of attracted us the for all the things that it offers and surrounding area. So it was sort of combination of things. I mean, I did get into London Business School as well,
Yeah,
uh, but I didn't like the idea of LBS because again, it's very very uh, from what I had known at the time, it was more theoretical, more engrossed in from that aspect. And I wanted a place where I could just go and soak what I want to soak, and take it from there.
for sure, for sure. And I guess so when you decided to quit, I mean, which is pretty bold, because that's where most people, when they're stuck in their jobs or they want to start a business or be entrepreneurs, that's kind of the hardest part is being able to quit your job,
Yeah,
right? Or some people
yeah,
will still work and then do a side hustle. But
yeah.
what made you what was that tipping point for you to be like, okay, you know what, I'm done, and I'm like, did you have a plan B? Yeah, like what was your plan?
No, I think that the tipping point was when my boss she made a pressed a print button, okay, and then she called me, "Hey, Gaurav, can you give me the printout?" Then I walked past her office, got the printout to her office. I was like, "Oh, I wasn't meant to do this." So
Yeah,
that day I was like, "Okay, I'm done," right? And yeah, so like I said, it wasn't planned at all, but I just reached a point where it wasn't really for me. And if it was planned, for example, like you said, a lot of people go for side hustle, side job until it makes a little bit of money, and hope to switch over when it starts making enough money to at least take care of their expenses. So it become more of a planned move at that point, right? um, but here in this case, I really didn't have a plan. I had 6 months of saving set aside for us to be like, okay, if nothing works out, I'm going back to a job. But here it is, 6 months of short, right? So it was very much of a gamble, but it didn't feel like a gamble at all. I in fact took a month off after quitting Sankor to go around the world again, just to explore
yeah,
and and came back in no hurry. I was looking for a business because to me at that time it didn't seem like a gamble. It seemed quite natural that you're looking for what you want to get.
yeah.
But at the same time, when I look back at it, I do feel, oh my god, oh shit, it didn't work out, right? And very well don't have, right? But it was just lucky to that some things aligned to for me to be part of it. um yeah, but I mean, to be honest, like I talk to many people nowadays, right? And then one thing which I used to be a quite cautious entrepreneur and in my first few years of entrepreneurship, but now I do really recommend to people, like, go after what you want. Other things will figure itself out.
Yeah,
Because if we take step after step, every step we are thinking cautious, and we tend to fall back to a safety net.
yeah,
But one jump is required where like you have no safety net, but you're going to do it.
for sure. Yeah, and you have to step out of your comfort zone to be successful. So yeah, like walk me through the how this idea of a spa came about, and obviously you mentioned the first location was the Bridgeland location here in Calgary, but then you've
Yeah.
expanded quite a bit, and yeah, like explain how all that's going and how that's coming along.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, like it was very unplanned to get to even take over spa. I my first massage ever in my life was after I bought the business. So you can see how much due diligence I did, like
Yeah,
literally. And I remember like going for I'm like, oh, I should have done it before. So it was a gamble, it was a risk, but something about the business stuck to me. which was probably a bit more than the hardcore financials the or the offerings. And what stuck to me in the business was the vibe, the feeling which it gave to people when they came out from their either yoga session or treatments. And third, supporting the idea of employing a lot of women. And um, somehow those three things really clicked to me, and then I took over the business, and that's it really. There's nothing more to it. um, and to be honest, that's the basis of our growth as well. Is one, we want to create the environment where somebody is feeling welcome, where somebody is want to detox from the normal life. That it's an oasis from the outside world. And second, provide the relaxation from our or effectiveness from our treatments. And third, supporting a lot of the people in Calgary. And I'm really proud of it because it's all of us in together, not just me, not just them. So it creates really a team sport. Going back to the business side of things, when I came to the small business world, I realized a few things, and I mean, it could be really helpful as well. One, in small business at that time, and at that time, I'm just talking about 5 or 6 years back, a lot of the small business owners were not very educated, or were not very they didn't transition from a corporate professional life to a small business life. So I had a lot of things in which I experienced in my working career, which I can now execute, here,
Hmm.
and really see how it works here. Second, um, so because of the ownership of some of these places, which is not by these, by these individuals, a lot of the inefficiencies exist in small business. So even the place which I took over had a lot of inefficiencies. And um, by doing some small things, as being engineers, we know a lot about supply and demand. We know a lot about, I mean, just simple things, how to reduce
Yeah.
cost, reduce revenue, right? uh, that wasn't there. And as soon as I realized the amount of efficiencies which you can work on, it became fun, because all you do is work on reducing cost and increase revenue while increasing the quality of the surface offerings you have. So just to give you an example, and this was, I think, game changer for us at Leela.
Hmm.
One third, or more than one third of our space was taken up by a yoga studio. Okay. Now, yoga studio had the revenue which couldn't even match the cost of the yoga teachers. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when I increased the yoga prices, I met up with a lot of flack from the clients. And suddenly one night I thought about it, you know what? Let's remove yoga and let's put some massage rooms over there which make money. Easy
Yeah.
peasy. Seems similar, seems simple, right?
Yeah.
That simple thought really enabled us to get 4 more rooms in a space with no extra overhead cost, because there is no front desk for those extra 4 rooms,
Yeah.
and remove any sort of loss from the yoga business, right? By making that move, we helped us a lot financially, and because we were able to do more massages or more facials or more waxing, we were helping the community as well in our service offerings, right? So there were small, basically optimization which we made in the first year and a half, which helped us in getting to a point where we can open up one more location and execute some of our, decision making in these things. And our decision making revolved purely around providing value to the client, like not overcharging them, however, not getting taken advantage of by so many discounts,
Yeah.
by paying the therapist properly, by paying the front desk properly, by supporting them if they have a sick kid at their house, or they can't make it to work because of migraine, or whatever situation may be, right? And slowly and steadily we sort of built a community of people who work at Leader, who understand and support each other. So it becomes not as per contract, but as per human nature or humanness, to work with each other. So that was the basis of our story, and that's what we are doing in all the new locations what we open. And people who fit in, people who don't fit in, don't fit in. So
Yeah.
That's sort of the working methodology behind our business.
That's awesome. So, you had that first location and you obviously experimented with it, and you also had to learn a lot of things in terms of, you mentioned like little things that you had to fix rather than paying a contractor to come do it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
At what point did you feel comfortable enough with the business model uh, that you were able to start looking for other locations? Or were you already convinced that, there was a future in this business and you didn't really wait to see the results before you started expanding? Like, maybe explain that rationale and kind of how you proceeded.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a very good question, Furkan, and this is where the scalability things comes into play. When I became part of small business, because I was part of corporate job,
Yep.
I didn't anticipate myself to be a front desk. That's not why I got the job, right, or the business.
Yeah.
I didn't anticipate me to be on call when every RMT calls in sick or every client has a complaint, right? I got a business to be for it to be a business. So one of the first thing which we did before even we were profitable is we hired somebody off desk means somebody is not on the desk but will take care of the business anyways. And that helped me to have the time available to look into optimizations, to look into expansion, to really look at the softer side of things properly. And uh, the spa director Amy, who's still with us, and she's a big part of Leela. She joined us in 2015 March or April, I think, and um, I think our next location, we opened two locations in 2016 March. So within a few months later, we signed up for our second and third location, and we had to shut one down because one of them didn't work. But uh, yeah, it was sort of about I would say a year to year and a half. At which point we made the next move
Hmm.
to open a newer location, and yeah, do our offerings from there. But then again, the I think the scalability or the possibility of adding a second location came in because I wasn't involved in every small part of the business.
Right.
I was thankfully having enough time to work on the what's next, because a lot of time in small business we do tend to get up involved in every part of business because it is costly. It's very
Yeah.
difficult to work on those things. Yeah, to have to outsource each and everything, but because I was fortunate enough to have that sort of buffer, we were able to sort of go to our few other locations.
Of course. And did you strategically pick the locations, and then based on the locations, did you change the services you were offering, or your motto is like, no, the services will be the same, that's our brand? Yeah, like maybe explain some of that, like what was, like, how did you pick your locations, and stuff like
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
This was in 2016. I would really want a location plus 15
Yeah.
because more like corporate, people and who have benefits and all. So I just one random. I was doing an oil and gas conference actually in 2015 sometime, and then I walked into an empty space international hotel and just asked for a GM. GM came in. It took a few months for negotiations because it was going through undergoing some transition ownership at that hotel. But we got a location plus 15 because we wanted to be right in the corporate center. The we weren't set upon what we were, who we were at that time, because beggars can't be choosers, and we didn't have a lot of capital to deploy to make each location cater to us. So we were looking for either ways to expand, sort of at not very high capital cost, or take over locations, which and some of the options were either take over locations which were shut down and then take it over, or which had less cost renovations to bring it up. So initially, first couple of locations, we I think we did quite smartly by not putting too much money in. And but nowadays, when we open location, we found that it's better for us to just initially go in and then make it of what we are, so that we are able to align it with the rest of our brand, and we don't need to change up too many things from there.
Okay, cool, cool. No, that's interesting. And um, so you mentioned one of the things that appealed to you also about this business was the vibe that,
Yeah,
you would notice people leaving the spa, they had a
yeah,
certain vibe. And why was that appealing to you? And what vibe are you talking about?
perfect. I'm glad you talk about that, Furkan, because that's the basis of who we are, to be honest. Um, when like in the oil and gas industry, I never saw any result what we did. The period. I loved working there. When I did with amazing colleagues, work was when as an engineer was good, but I never saw an actual result. Where here, if you're just starting by the front desk and you ask a guy or a girl coming up for massage, hey, how was your session? And the way they explain it, you can see it in their face, pure bliss. It's
Yeah.
like they are like they had a great 1 hour.
Yeah.
And this is something which our business enabled, which our business connected with
Yeah.
us, with the RMT, and of course with the person who needs that session too, right?
Hmm.
So that to me is fulfillment. That to me is we contributed to your wellness. We contributed to your life. We made it a bit better. Um, in all of our conversation with the staff, I'm really, really clear. Like people come here as a break from the normal life. People come here to let go of normal life. This is not
Yeah.
a grocery store. This is not a pharmacy. This is a place where they want to feel valued, and this is what we're going to do over here. And that's a vibe which was there, and I think it still is at our locations where people come in not only for their physical wellness but their mental wellness as well. And you can go get a massage anywhere. You can go to a chiro office. You can go for other spas. But why do you come to Leela for a massage? And you do come because not only you get an amazing massage session, but you also get treated like a normal human being. You also get treated, in a way that you are valued, and you are respected, and you're protected. So all of these things provide you that relaxation, not only from your body but from mind as well. And that's the kind of place I want to create, at any of our new locations or wherever it is, where it is combined physical and mental wellness all in one space.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I think the mind aspect is definitely important. And it must have been tough to get rid of the yoga option in your spa because, yoga does help with that too, right?
Indeed.
Um, so I guess, now I wanted to understand from your perspective with the pandemic, and then we had the lockdown earlier in the year, and we might be looking at another potential lockdown.
Yeah,
And who knows, by the time this episode
that's true.
comes out, we might be in a lockdown. So, as
Yeah.
a small bit local business, what are your fears and concerns and with this pandemic, and how has it impacted you?
So it has impacted us greatly. When we were locked down for 3 months, it was unprecedented, for all of us. And we weren't sure what's going to happen, how business come back up, all the expenses which were happening without us being open. They are a lot for small business. I do want to say though that we had a lot of support, we meaning small business, from the government, and most of our landlords agreed to participate in the rent subsidy. We got some wage subsidy back as well. So those the loan as well. So that those all things really helped us
Hmm.
being afloat, and still being in a strong position. And I mean, you're right. The lockdown may be upon us. Hopefully not, but we never know. Whatever is better for society. But I do feel supported by the government, by the different programs what they're bringing it out, and I feel fortunate and very grateful to be here in Canada, where government is stepping up and doing something. From what I've heard from other or noticed from other countries, you're on your own, but
Yeah.
not here. So I'm really, really grateful. I do think that if we go to lockdown, we'll of course have a lot of financial losses, but everybody goes through these things nowadays, and it's part of the journey, I guess. So I'm not really overly concerned that this will be the end of us and all, but because we will come out of it, hopefully, in a few months' time. Yeah, so I'm not stressing. I'm not really concerned crazy about this lockdown because one, I can't do much about it, and second, we have the support from the government, which will kick in, which will at least take care of a lot of our expenses, which is what our main thing is, right? I mean, we do
Yeah.
make money in lockdown, but at least there shouldn't be too much of the expenses side.
Yeah, no, I guess I mean it must be a little bit hard to see other small businesses shutting down, right? And a lot of them shut down after the first lockdown.
Yeah.
So I mean that's it is concerning, right? Um,
Furkan, like our bar on 17th Avenue, we opened on Feb 29th to March 1st, right?
yes,
We shut down March 17th and we barely got it going, right?
yeah,
Uh, then we opened back up again in May end, and we had to shut the space down again in August end or September first week, I think, right?
yeah,
Um, if bar was the only business I had, then I would be under for sure. It was we had lost a lot of money in that project. But and similarly, like a lot of the industry, even today, I don't understand how they can be open because expenses are so high in this industry, and people don't want to go outside to drink too much. From what I know,
yeah.
or socialize, and it must be so tough because outside their control to do anything about it, right? So, yeah, it's definitely crazy times for sure.
Yeah, and like maybe explain you know, uh, what kind of, obviously you had to convert that bar into a spa. And you mentioned you guys were open for 4 months roughly, but at what point did you decide that okay, enough's enough? This isn't like we're not making any money here. That must have been a tough decision too, because obviously you guys had invested a lot of money in the infrastructure and the way it was set up to have to convert it.
Yeah, it was a tough decision, but again, it was a natural decision. I mean, I remember in June end, literally a month after opening, I couldn't see it going ahead too much. And of course, we had a patio season, we had summer season amongst us, but I was really concerned about the fall and winter. And I thought of it, and you know what, like we got a spa business which may work in the fall and winter, and all you gotta do is shut it down, of course, for a couple, 2, 3 months, whatever it is, but and renovate it. But yeah, but that would be it. Like we're lucky to have a plan B.
Yeah,
If we didn't, then I don't know. I'll be every day after summer goes away. I'll be like very cautious, right, or very like concerned because it's a very difficult industry in these times right now.
yeah,
And once a decision came to me, it was pretty easy to execute it because, all the other steps followed after that, right? But yeah, it was definitely hard decision initially because, like you said, we had put in so much of effort, everything in, right? Like it was our vision to create that best cocktail bar in the city, to have the vibe, to leave no stone unturned,
hmm,
to be smashed away, and and go towards something which we never imagined initially, right?
yeah. No, for sure. And thanks for sharing that. Um, I mean, we're towards the end here. If you had to share any advice for entrepreneurs or people that are wanting to take the risk, obviously the economy here in Calgary is, especially for oil and gas, is definitely struggling, and there's a lot of people who are looking to do other things. What would your advice be for the folks that want to start their own businesses or their own ventures and just don't know where to start or what kind of risks to take?
Yeah, great point, Furkan. I mean, I I think I mentioned that earlier as well. Please find what you want to do and then just do it. Don't think too much about it. You will figure it out. And the best thing which you can do for yourself is, I think, to really work on something you love. What you want to do. to wait for the best time to come, to wait for the transition to happen. That never happens. And I've talked to so many people in the 50s, 60s who wish they had made a switch earlier. So I would say just take the risk. You can see life is anyways like a piece of chess anyways nowadays, but
Yeah.
take the risk and go with it. And the more passionate you're about, I have no doubt about that you'll make it work.
Oh, that's awesome. Great advice. And for the people that want to go to the spa, how many locations are there in Calgary? I mean, I could attest. I have been once. My lovely
Okay.
partner booked me a facial for my birthday, so I had an amazing experience. I actually went to the Bridgeland location, so I'm glad that was your first one.
Yeah, 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 that's true. Okay, nice, awesome. Well, I'm glad
Yeah,
to hear that. Yeah, we have 5 locations right now in the city. Bridgeland, we have two in Bridgeland and Boutique, we call it. One in Calgary Place, which is on plus 15. One in Beltline, which is 11th Ave within 6th and 7th Street Southwest. And one in 17th Ave, the new converted bar to a spa. So we have 5 locations right now.
awesome. That's great, and I'm glad to see you guys expanding it. You've done a phenomenal job, and you should be proud. For people that want to get a hold of you, Gaurav, where can they find you?
They can always email me. My email address is Gaurav, just Gaurav at leelaecospa.com. You can even go to our website and send an email to any of the locations. Or my phone number is 587-224-4287. So very easy to contact me. And yes, anyone wants to have a chat or whatever it is, just let me know. I've got lots of time.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Gaurav, for doing this. I appreciate you sharing your story, giving great advice, and I wish you the best of luck. And
Thank you.
hopefully, you guys can, or all of us, like, and the small businesses in the city,
Yeah.
can make it through these tough times and prosper.
Indeed. I just want to say one small thing. I really want to thank you for inviting me to this podcast. I think it's a great platform to share views and opinions and journeys. Each one of us have unique journey and to learn from each other. So it's very engaging. I've listened to a couple of other podcasts as well, which is amazing as well. So yeah, keep on doing great work and look forward to hearing the podcast
Well,
too.
thank you. No, I appreciate that. And Gaurav, I think you wanted to mention you've got some other projects on the go. Can you quickly give us a bit of
Sure.
a lowdown on these projects? Because I know one of them was really exciting when I was coming to the location on the 17th Ave.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, just quickly on it. Basically, when the bar shut down, I partnered up with the bar consultant and the bar manager. His name is JD. JD has got decades of experience creating uh, cocktails in 5-star hotels and being consultant to a lot of other properties as well. So me and him have partnered up, and then we have created a brand called Cocktail Concierge, where the cocktails are in a bottle. So nowadays, with the bar shut down and with people not going to bars as much, you can enjoy a glass of 5-star cocktail at your own house using these bottle cocktails. We are in a few liquor stores already. We're launching our e-commerce site on Saturday. So yeah, we're just actively involved in promoting this brand. Fairmont Palisade just took it up as well to distribute with their New Year's Eve dinner. So feel free to check it out. It's cocktailconcierge.ca, and these are basically 6 bottled cocktails. And try it out at home. It's really amazing quality, and you have a cocktail in your house is a feeling and nothing else.
Yeah, and there was that sober bartender line too, right? For the people that don't
Indeed.
drink alcohol but want
So
to enjoy.
exactly. So there are 2 lines. One is cocktail concierge for the bottled cocktails, and one is sober bartender for the non-alcoholic beverages. So you have a guest coming over, what do you offer to them, right? Orange juice, Pepsi, Coke, whatever. But these are almost cocktail tasting drinks at your home, but without alcohol. So for a sober friend, for whoever doesn't want to just want to enjoy a nice drink at the home, there are some amazing drinks which we have made as well. So yeah, both are basically meant to be at home drinking. One's non-alcoholic, one's alcoholic. And with time, we are hoping to make this available at more places so people can really get their hands on it.
Awesome. No, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you again, Gaurav, for coming here and sharing your story. I really appreciate it. There you go, everyone. That's the end of the episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you can leave a review, I will really appreciate it. Your reviews will allow me to get better and improve my messaging. Thank you, and until next time.